With the collapse of the government's Malaysia solution, the tide of irregular boat arrivals is rising. 8, carrying more than 600 asylum seekers, have arrived on Christmas Island in the past fortnight alone. Another was intercepted today on the eve of the anniversary of last year's disaster, when 50 people drowned as their boat crashed on the island's ragged cliffs. Political editor Heather Hewitt reports.
It's a harsh and uncompromising coastline. On a good day on the shores of Christmas Island, there are scenes of tranquility and great beauty. On a bad day during the swell season, the seas can be dangerous and deadly. And so it was 1 year ago for asylum seekers on board the Indonesian fishing boat Civ 221. 50 of them drowned after their boat struck the cliff and horrified locals watched a catastrophe unfold. As the anniversary approaches, it's revived memories for everyone involved on that terrible day.
Just utter devastation. Just imagining, as much as anyone can, what those people would have been going through, looking for their children, the children themselves. I mean, what can you say? Just utter devastation.
I mean, there are a lot of people on the island who say that day Christmas Island lost its innocence.
I'll certainly always remember the raw emotions going through all of us on that day. I'll certainly always remember my reaction and the reaction of those around me.
It was quite horrific. By the same token, I saw some of the most courageous acts that I've ever seen in my life performed by residents of Christmas Island.
Is it hard to try to put the accident behind you?
There's not a moment that we don't think about it, especially through the nights. I think about my husband until the morning. It is terrifying.
It was a tragedy that stunned the nation. For many of the survivors and those who tried to save them and their loved ones, it's left permanent scars. Some have tried to deal with personal loss by painting. Others cling to the miracle of having any family left at all. Like this Iranian group, now making a new life together in outer Melbourne. Sophia lost her husband in the crash. She and her daughter survived, along with her sister and brother-in-law and their daughter. They're thankful to have refugee status, but Sophia still misses her husband desperately.
Very much. We all know that he is in a good place. He is a very good man. He was kind to other people. All of our family loved him. I miss him so much, but we all believe he is in a good place now.
On the island itself, 12 months on, residents remember the disaster like it was yesterday. The local administrator had the grim task of meeting survivors soon after their rescue.
They were in a terrible state of shock. My wife and I went to visit them in the detention centre, and it was just terrible to hear the way they were pleading for people to find their babies or their husband, and to see them. They were in a, like I say, they were living in a dream and couldn't believe, a nightmare I should say, couldn't believe what had happened.
I must say I think the hardest part actually came the next day when I got the information that babies had died, a 2-month-old and an 8-month-old, and I had to tell the Prime Minister that, and that was obviously hard for her and a hard conversation for anybody to be outlining just the full devastation that we were dealing with.
Of course, no one has suffered more than the survivors. This family we met for afternoon tea is trying hard to settle into the Melbourne community. While they mourn the loss of Sophia's husband, whose body was never recovered, they know they may not be alive today if it weren't for the people of Christmas Island.
We are very grateful. The people of Christmas Island were very kind to us. They helped us a lot at the first moment we crashed. The people try to save our lives by themselves. They threw life jackets and they threw a rope from the rocks to the sea. They called the police and they tried very hard to help us.
So they saved your life?
I owe my life to the people of Christmas Island, yes.
Nobody was thinking about whether these people were refugees or asylum seekers or what they thought about border protection policy. They were getting in and saving human lives.
I think it did bring about a change in the attitude of some of the people on the island about refugees and about asylum seekers and what they're prepared to go through to try to come to a better life.
It's also raised fears on the island of another disaster, especially as the boats keep on coming.
As the swell season approaches in particular, and it is approaching now, there would be, I imagine, that fear of a repeat of that sort of thing happening again, and particularly as we see boats that come in without being detected until they're getting close to Christmas Island.
What would you say to other people who are thinking of getting boats to Christmas Island or to Australia after what happened?
It's not worth all of the problems. It's not worth to lose someone you love. However much you want to live in another country, it's not worth it to lose somebody.
When Sophia, her husband and young daughter fled Iran to board the ill-fated Civ 221, they left behind her 18-year-old son. He planned to join them when they were settled in Australia. Now she's anxious to see that happen as soon as possible.
Considering the horrible tragedy that happened to me, I haven't been able to see my son. I understand that every country has its own laws, but considering my position, I think they should treat our case as urgent.
No matter what the Australian people, individuals might think about border protection or refugee policy, I think people would understand that cases like this need to be dealt with flexibly and compassionately.
With plans underway for a memorial service on Christmas Island tomorrow, some residents and survivors have already flagged that it's too painful to attend. Others welcome it as part of the healing process. One way or another, this tragedy has changed all of those involved.
There happen to be TV cameras there to capture this tragedy and show the Australian people about it. This will inevitably happen on the high seas, and we may or may not even know that there was a boat on the water. We may or may not even know that people lost their lives. It may have happened since Christmas Island and we don't know about it. That's what's really confronting about this and really does worry me. And that's what drives me and I think drives the government to keep us focused on trying to discourage boat journeys to Australia.
For the residents, there's a desire to be better prepared.
There is an ongoing planning strategy to try to find ways to ensure that if it did happen again, there will be some greater capacity to be able to help rescue the people that might be washed out of the boats or actually hanging onto the cliffs.
And for one survivor who lost so much, there's a determination to look to the future.
I hope to be able to find my old self very soon. I like to finish English and after that I hope to find a job. Because the kids need me. When I look at them and I see that I have 2 children, then I tell myself that I have to be strong. The pain of this tragedy hasn't broken me yet.
Heather Hewitt reporting.